Hello, my name's Mrs. Crouch and I'm going to be your teacher here at Moat Primary Academy in September. I hope you're looking forward to it because I am. I'm in our classroom right now. Do you want to have a little look? Here we go. Wow, look, you can see our lovely outside area there. There's no children at the moment, but when you come there will be and we'll have lots of fun. Do you like stories? I do. This is one of my favourites that I'm going to read to you now. It's called The Smartest Giant in Town. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same patched up old gown. "I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town," he said, sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought a smart new shirt, some smart trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, smart shiny shoes, and some smart socks with diamonds up the sides. "Now I'm the smartest giant in town," said George. Look how smart he looks now. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing. "What's the matter?" said George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so long and it's so cold. I wish I had a nice warm scarf." "Cheer up," said George. And he gave the giraffe his stripy tie. It made a perfect scarf for him. "Thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river. On the river was a boat with a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" said George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a nice strong new sail for my boat." "Cheer up," said George. And he took off his shirt, his new white shirt. It made a perfect sail for the boat. "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a boat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny ruined house. Next to the house were lots of mice who were squeaking. "Dear, what's the matter?" said George. "It's our house," squeaked the mice. "It burned down in a fire." "Oh dear," said George. "Oh, we wish we had a nice new house," said the mice. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny new shoes. It made a perfect house for the mice. "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." Does he look smart now? Not really. Poor George. Then he came to a campsite. On the campsite was a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle and now it's all wet. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag." Poor fox. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his socks with diamond patterns on the sides. "It was tickling my toes anyway," he said. as the fox snuggled in. It made a perfect, warm sleeping bag for a fox. "Thank you," said the fox. George hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse, and one of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." Then he came to a big squelching bog. In the bog was a dog who was howling. "What's the matter?" said George. "It's this bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a nice, dry, safe path for me." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said. It made a perfect, excellent path. "Oh, thank you," said the dog as he walked across the bog on his new path. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog, but my trousers are falling down. Oh no! I'm the coldest giant in town." Poor George. Suddenly George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, "I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some new clothes." So he turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. Oh no, but the shop was shut. When he got there, it was closed. Poor George sat down on the pavement and started to cry. He felt as sad as all the animals he'd been helping. And then out of the corner of his eye he saw a bag with something sticking out of it. Something familiar. George took a closer look. "My gown," he said. "My old gown and sandals." George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. "Oh, I'm the coziest giant in town now," he said. And he danced back along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals that he had helped that day. They were carrying an enormous present for George. "Come on, George," they said. "Open it." George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. "Look inside the card, George," said the animals. So George put the crown on his head and opened the card. It said, "Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt is on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here's a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town." That's the end. And that is the end of our story. And George was the smartest, but then the kindest giant in town because he helped all those friends of his. Bye for now and see you soon.